Twinkle, twinkle, little star. Twinkle, twinkle, little star. Have you wondered what you are? இந்த ஸ்கூல்ல வந்து சின்ன பசங்களுக்கு கொஞ்சம் வித்தியாசமா சொல்லி கொடுப்பாங்க. ட்விங்கிள் ட்விங்கிள் லிட்டில் ஸ்டார் ஹவ் ஐ வண்டர் வாட் யூ ஆர்னு சொல்லி கொடுப்பாங்க. ஒரு விண்மீன்களை பார்த்து ஒரு மனிதன் வந்து சொல்றாரு, ஓ விண்மீன்களே, நீங்க வந்து ரொம்ப பார்க்கறதுக்கு அழகா இருக்கீங்களே, நீங்க வந்து யாரு, நீங்க வந்து என்னதுன்னு நான் வந்து ஆச்சரியமா பார்க்குறேன்னு வந்து ஸ்கூல்ல சொல்லி கொடுப்பாங்க. ஆனா சுவாமியோட கஸ்தூரி சார், சுவாமியோட சத்தியம் சிவம் சுந்தரம் கதை எழுதின கஸ்தூரி சார் சுவாமிக்கு முன்னாடி ஒரு கவிதை படிக்கும்போது அவர் சொன்னது, ட்விங்கிள் ட்விங்கிள் லிட்டில் ஸ்டார் ஹேவ் யூ வண்டர்ட் வாட் யூ ஆர். அந்த கவிதை கேட்டுக்கிற பக்தர்களை பார்த்து அவர் கேட்கிறாரு, நீங்க வந்து யாருன்னு நீங்க வந்து நினைச்சு பார்த்துருக்கீங்களா? ஒரு கேள்வி அவர் வந்து ரொம்ப அழகா கேட்டாரு. அந்த கேள்விக்கு பதில் வந்து சுவாமி வந்து ஒரு தடவையும் நமக்கு முன்னாடி நம்ம சுவாமியோட டிஸ்கோர்ஸ் கொடுக்கும்போது சுவாமி அதுக்கு ஆன்சர் கொடுத்துருக்காரு. நம்ம யாருங்கிற கேள்விக்கு ஒரு ஆன்சர் சுவாமியே கொடுத்துருக்காரு. எந்த ஸ்பீச் ஆரம்பிக்கிறதுக்கு முன்னாடி சுவாமி வந்து நம்மளை பார்த்து திவ்யாத்ம ஸ்வரூபலாரா, இல்லைன்னா பிரேம ஸ்வரூபலாரா. திவ்யாத்ம ஸ்வரூபலாரா திவ்யமான ஆத்மா, சுவாமியோடைய அம்சம் தான், சுவாமியோடைய ஸ்பார்க் தான். நம்ம எல்லாருமே வந்து சுவாமி பல தடவை நமக்கு வந்து எடுத்து சொல்லிருக்காரு. அதை பத்தி தான் இன்னைக்கு வந்து நம்ம சத்சங்கங்களை கேட்க போறோம். டாபிக் வந்து அவேர்னஸ் ஆஃப் ஆத்மா. இதை பத்தி நம்ம கிட்ட பேச போறது ஜஸ்டிஸ் கே ராமமூர்த்தி சார் தான் பேச போறாரு. அவர் வந்து 1964 86 வரைக்கும் அட்வொகேட்டா இருந்தாரு. 87 94 வரைக்கும் சீனியர் அட்வொகேட். இது எல்லாமே வந்து ஹைகோர்ட் ஆஃப் டெல்லியில. 94 2001 வந்து he was judge of the honorable high court of Delhi. 2001 அவர் ரிட்டையர் ஆனதுக்கு அப்புறமா he is a senior advocate in the Supreme Court. மட்டும் இல்லை, சுப்ரீம் கோர்ட் வந்து அவர் நிறைய கேசஸ்ல வந்து மீடியேட்டரா கூட அப்பாயின்ட் பண்ணிருக்காங்க. ஃபார் directly appointed by the Supreme Court to mediate disputes. அது மாதிரி ரெஸ்பான்சிபிள் பொசிஷன்ஸ் இருந்திருக்காரு. அப்படி இருந்தும் நம்ம வந்து சுவாமி சொல்ற மாதிரி அந்த நம்ம வந்து ஒரு போட்டு வந்து தண்ணியில் இருக்கலாம், ஆனா வந்து தண்ணி வந்து போட்டுக்குள்ள இருக்கக்கூடாதுன்னு சொல்றாரு. அது எப்படின்னா, நம்ம வந்து உலகத்தில் இருக்கலாம், ஆனால் உலகம் தான் நம்ம கிட்ட இருக்கக்கூடாது. உலகத்தில் நம்ம வாழ்ந்தாலும் எப்பவுமே வந்து நம்ம நிஜமாவே நம்ம யாரு, நம்ம வந்து சுவாமியோட அம்சம் தான், சுவாமியோட ஸ்பார்க் தான், திவ்யாத்மா ஸ்வரூபலாரா தான் என்கிற ஒரு போதத்தோட நம்ம வந்து வாழ்க்கையை வந்து நம்ம முன்னாடி கொண்டு போகணும்னு சுவாமி சொல்லியிருக்காரு. அது மாதிரி முக்கியமான டாபிக்கை பற்றி சார் பேசுறதை நம்ம இப்போ கேட்போம். ஜெய் சார்.
My most humble pranams at the lotus feet of my divine mother and father, Sri Satya Sai Baba. But for his grace, I would not have been able to share my thoughts with you on this occasion. The principle of Atma had been explained by great philosophers like Alan Watts and the young sannyasin Pravijirika Diveprana from IIT Kanpur. There is also the Taoist revolution of self-awareness. If you happen to read these things and read the discourses given by Baba on various occasions, you will be able to appreciate the understanding of great human beings and the exposition by God Himself. How fortunate I was to be stitched to the lotus feet of Baba would be very interesting. It was in 1974 when I was working as a junior advocate in Chennai. My brother-in-law, Dr. Prakash, had been in Oklahoma University in the United States. He had a friend, Mr. Rao, in NASA, who was an engineer. Mr. Rao was also incidentally an astrologer. In a conversation between my brother-in-law and Mr. Rao had requested my brother-in-law, Dr. Prakash, to get the horoscope of his sister and myself. And in 1975, Dr. Rao had predicted and in writing to Dr. Prakash, which letter was sent to me in 1976, wherein Dr. Rao has said, your brother-in-law and your sister will have darshan of a holy person in 1983 or 1984. In 1976, my co-brother-in-law, Mr. Sai Krishnan's father, gave me this book, The Holy Man and the Psychiatrist. I had gone through the book, but I could not understand properly because of my heavy schedule in courts. And in 1980, we moved to a flat of our own to a nearby place in Mylapore, Chennai. In the year 1982, just opposite to our flat, in the open space, the builder put up a new complex. In 1983, a couple from United States, Mrs. Ramamoorthy and Mr. Ramamoorthy, came and occupied that flat, who were Baba's devotees. On a Thursday bhajan, they invited us for the function. We participated. That was the first time in my life I had the beautiful bhajan by Sai devotees. Then Mr. Ramamoorthy said, Baba's temple is there in Sundaram, nearby. Thursdays and Sundays bhajans are being conducted. You will go and you will be very much benefited. We strictly followed. We had been attending the bhajans. And in June 1984, my father-in-law M.S. Gopalakrishnan, myself, mother-in-law, and we all went to Puttaparthi for darshan of Baba. We reached. Next day, early morning, about 6 o'clock, we sat in the queue for picking up the tokens. You all know. I don't know whether nowadays people know that. Tokens used to be issued. And depending upon the token number you take, you will be seated in the row. Fortunately, my father-in-law picked up number 1. And we were in the first row in that earlier place. At about 8:15 a.m., in June 1984, Baba came out of the ashram, straight came to us and was pleased to give us Pada Namaskar. That is why my life started. Thereupon, believe me, my life got completely changed. Thereupon in 1987, within 23 years of my experience as a member of the bar, I was designated as senior advocate. Then we used to go to Puttaparthi for service during summer vacations. 2 weeks we used to stay and enjoy. And Baba used to give us Pada Namaskar, prasad from his own hands, and blessed us profusely. And everything went on very well. And we used to go in 1990, 22nd November 1990, when Baba declared that there will be a super specialty hospital, which first operation will be on 26th November 1991. I was in that satsang. And fortunately, on 22nd November 1991, I was in Puttaparthi, enjoying the whole thing. Thereupon, what happened 1994, summer vacation, we went for service, we came back. In June 1994, the proposal for appointment of judge came. I was sworn in as judge of the Madras High Court in 17th October 1994. And immediately I was transferred to Delhi. One incident I want to tell you all is that in 1995, after my return from Sabarimala, after my darshan of Baba and his birthday, I went to High Court to attend. And just in front of me, Chief Justice was getting down from his car and asked me to meet me in his chambers. He said he was appointing me as chairman of that committee under the Unlawful Activities Act, where Vishwa Hindu Parishad was banned. And you know, it was on 16th January 1995. It was in the evening of 16th November 1995. The chief of that VHP had darshan of Baba, wherein Baba had told him about this incident, and when he was saying, this is what has happened, entire 1,000 crores, bank accounts frozen, everything. Baba said, don't worry, a man Madras will be deciding your case, you will succeed. That is what happened. Therefore, now today I retired in 2001. I am practicing in the Supreme Court of India. Baba has been with me, helping me every second. This is how I am at the lotus feet of Baba, protecting me all the 24 hours. Now, today's topic is awareness of Atma. For many who have not been blessed to have heard about Baba, this may appear to be a riddle. But if one has had the good fortune of being connected to Baba, the concept is well known and does not require any elucidation. The prelude to this is sadhana. Bhagavan related upon the 5 kinds of sadhana, namely Satyavati, Angavati, Anyavati, Nidhanavati, and Swarupa Atmaka Jnanam. Satyavati declares that God is present in subtle form everywhere and in everything in the universe in the same way as butter exists in milk. In Angavati sadhana, the aspirant regards the 5 elements as manifestation of God and worships them. In Anyavati sadhana, God is worshipped in a form on the basis of certain insignia unique to that form. Shiva, for instance, is envisaged as a deity with 3 eyes, holding the trident and a damaru in his hands. Similarly, Rama is worshipped as the one bearing the famous bow, Kodanda, and Krishna as the charming lord with a peacock feather adorning his headgear, holding a flute in his hand. Nidhanavati is the common type of sadhana practiced by most of the people today. It comprises 9 forms of devotion, which need not be elaborated now. Sanskrit word Nidhanam is a rope for tethering a calf. Devotion is the rope that binds the devotee to God. The sadhana of Swarupatmaka Jnanam is the process of self-inquiry by which one discovers one's own reality as the divine. When we hear encouraging words and enlivening ideas from Baba, we will be put on the direct path on this way of awareness. Baba has said long ago, I is the basis of everything. To say I am this or that is Dvaita Bhavam. Duality I am means Advaitam or Ekatvam, oneness. That is the ultimate truth. It is this I which is called by various names: God, Atma, Brahman, Krishna, Rama, Shiva, and Allah. The balanced persons will do all work dispassionately, deeming it their duty. They will not be agitated by anything, failure or success. The godly will take up activity as a means of worshipping God, and they leave the results to Him. They know that they are but instruments in the hands of God. The following prayer epitomizes the aspirations of chosen one on the path. When you take me on your wings into the skies of your glory, give me the humility to bow to you in all men. When you trample me to shake off all my unlikeness to you, grant me the resolve to cling to your feet with love. When you take up the sword to strip me of all selfhood, give me the strength to surrender to your wrath. When you lift me up to the heavens of your bosom, give me the courage to sever the bonds of earth. Be a master of your senses and be in constant communion with Atma, who is the Lord residing in you. This is the beginning of the process. Baba had beautifully declared, I quote, I am beyond the reach of the most intensive inquiry and the most meticulous measurement. Only those who have recognized my love and experience, you can aspire to have a glimpse of my divine nature, unquote. Why I am referring to Baba even at the outset is to know something which appears to be very abstract, can be brought without our capacity to comprehend, could be only through Baba. Baba had declared, I quote, the kiranas, the rays that emanate from me are of 3 types. The Stula kiranas fill Prasanti Nilayam. The Sushma pervade the earth. And the Karana cover the entire universe. The Stula Kirana makes a man a sadhaka. The Sushma makes him a Mahatma. And the Karana transforms him into Paramamsa. Unquote. During his 55th birthday celebrations in 1980, Baba in his discourse beautifully described, I quote, Soy is that ever effulgent, ever blissful Atma, the formless one who neither was, nor is, nor will be. The Eternal One, who neither enters nor exists. The Immortal One, which is neither born nor dies. Unquote. Baba would tell us he remains a mystery for man. But according to the avatar, he is the ocean and man is the wave. Can the wave know the ocean? It can, only when it knows the oneness with the ocean. For that to happen, the wave has to lose its sense of separateness or the ego. Lord Krishna had declared in Bhagavad Gita, quote, I am not revealed to all since I am surrounded by Yoga Maya. The deluded world does not know me as the deathless and birthless basis of all existence. Unquote. When some devotee asked Baba, I quote, Swami, people say that very powerful Yoga Maya surrounds Swami. Baba laughed and asked, who said it? Swami, it is said in Bhagavad Gita also. Don't worry about it. If you cultivate a sense of surrender to Swami, no Maya will affect you, declared Bhagawan, and commanded, develop the attitude of surrender. My Maya made up of the gunas is hard to surmount, but those who surrender to me and take refuge in me can cross over this Maya. Unquote. Baba in his discourse on 22/11/1980 revealed about a world missing, who was wolf missing, who was stated to have amazing psychic powers. He had the good fortune of having darshan of Baba. What Baba said would give an idea about what is this Atman. It is recorded. I have not revealed this incident anywhere to anyone till today. It was in 1937, when Baba was only 11 years old. I was Kamalapuram. Wherever I went, many boys would always be around me. One day I was near the railway station with the boys. On seeing me, one person ran up to me, took me into his arms and kissed me. He was uttering, I am so happy, with the tears of joy running down his cheeks. Then he started dancing, madly repeating, I love you, I love you. My companions who watched the strange behavior of that man wondered, who is this white man who looks like a lunatic? Probably he wants to kidnap our Satya. They forced me to move away from there. As I walked away from him, he stood riveted to the spot, wistfully watching me until I disappeared from his view. That man was none other than Wolf Messing. Baba had declared, I quote, I will grant both Annam and Amirdam to those who trust me and entrust their lives to me. Unquote. Baba had appraised the devotees, I quote, that explained why the Lord chose this land to be born again and again. Roman Roland, the French philosopher and writer, said, if there is a place on the face of the earth which has been the home for the highest dreams of all living men since the earliest times, when man began the dream of existence, it is India. Unquote. To appreciate and to have a grip of what is advice of Baba, we have to go to concrete instances. General Malhotra, who was an ardent devotee of Baba, had some ailment in his eyes. He was treated by the military hospital. Ultimately, the doctors declared that they had done the best for him. General Malhotra was impatient to have darshan of Baba and surrendered to him. What happened? It is recorded. General Malhotra ignored the medical advice and travelled to Prasant Nilayam by air and road to be in his Lord's presence for some days. As soon as Baba saw him in the veranda of the mandir, he walked up to him and said, I have gifted you your eyes, and advised him to stop taking medicines. Baba also invited General Malhotra to dine with him every day. Baba's compassion overwhelmed him, and his grace overpowered his malady completely. During the dining sessions, for 1 week, Bhagawan's focused, merciful look met the general's eyes wherever he looked at his Lord. The shooting pain in the eyes reduced gradually and finally vanished completely by the end of the week. The same thing happened to the pigment marks on his face. On his return to Srinagar, the doctors were astonished at the miraculous cure brought about by Baba's grace. In the year 2004, General Malhotra and Srimati Prem Malhotra have these days to say, 30 years have rolled by since we met Swami. Our lives have been transformed by his contact. We visit Baba regularly twice a year on Guru Purnima and on his birthday. Every visit recharges us and lifts our sagging spirits. His darshan gives us the strength to meet the problems and challenges of daily life. You know the meaning of Bhagawan. The word Bhagawan means one endowed with Bhaga. Bhaga means, according to the ancient Sanskrit textographers, Aishwarya, authority derived from power. Vriya, heroism, bravery. Asha, fame. Sriya, prosperity. Jnana, wisdom. Vairagya, detachment. Baba had declared, I know all that happens to all because I am in everyone. This current is in every bulb. I illumine every consciousness. I am the inner motivator in each one of your. He declared Anantapur, even in the 14 worlds in the upper, and neither regions of the universe, unite in order to delay or disturb the work for which I have come in this body. It will not suffer or falter. He said at a meeting in Prasanthanilayam in 1965, no avatar has done like this before. Going among the masses in the villages, seeking out the distressed, waking up the sleeping, quickening the dull, showering grace on millions and counseling, consoling, guiding, uplifting them along the path of Satya Dharma, Santi Prema. I am neither Guru nor God. I am you. You are me. That is the truth. And you will realize it when you reach the goal. You are the waves and I am the ocean. Unquote. The exposition of Baba by Atma, man after all is nothing but divine, born by three chains of time, space and causation. That is why Baba says, you become Bhagawan as soon as you express the Atma principle. Each one of you can become Bhagawan by merging your separate individual jiva or self in the ocean of universal Atma. How Atma helps us, late Mr. Kasturi had recorded. Now I wish to quote from a letter written to devotee who, due to desperate financial states, had desired to flee the country and proceed to Malaysia, but later planned to commit suicide when his steamer ticket and travel documents were stolen by pickpocketers inside the harbour area at Madras. This letter was written when Baba was 23 years age. Pattabi, dear devotee, Swami is writing to you. See, he is blessing you. Dear child, what madness is this? What a letter you have written and left it at home. It is foolish to be hasty. Think over affairs calmly. Slow deliberation always reveals the true and the beneficial. Think of the crores of people the world over who are in conditions far worse than yours. Remember always, you have me to guard you and guide you. How many of them have this fortune? Consider that. Are you the only victim of poverty and indebtedness? The step you are contemplating cannot give you the rest or peace. It is not right. It is not manly to run away from his responsibility. Listen to me. Go back to your place. Be bold and face the world with courage, for courage will set you free. It will conquer all obstacles. Give up your foolish plan to escape. And Pattabi went back, recovered self-confidence, and made a success of life. Baba, Atma in him, had saved his life. When a mother lost her son, when he died in the holy tank in Tirupati, how Baba had advised her, who showed to us how the Atma absolves us from our karma. Baba appeased her. I quote from Satyam Sivam Sundaram. Mother, the one you loved as your son was a staunch devotee of Lord during his previous life. He was engaged in the Tapas for 12 years on the steps of this very holy temple tank. His deepest desire was to attain Jala Samadhi, water emergence, in those sacred waters. To fulfill that desire, you took the birth again. And as your Guru has led you to me, remain in Puttaparthi, ever sing in the glory of Venkadajalapati, who has accepted your son into his fold. The experience of a sannyasi was recorded by late Kasturi in his book, Satyam Sivam Sundaram. He was in touch with Mr. Kasturi, as he did not know how to have direct contact with Baba. It is stated, he wrote to me on 23rd November 1961. To be frank, I must admit that I have been hearing of Satya Sai Baba Ji and about his Mahimas for a long time. But hearsay does not convey a good opinion about him. Recently, nearly a week or 10 days ago, I got your book, Satyam Sivam Sundaram, from a devotee of his, and I went through it. It is very interesting and illuminating, and is driving me to have a darshan of divinity. Will you let me know whether and when I shall be able to have darshan? Although I have been living my life in this fashion for over 20 years now, I still have doubts and defects. This body is at the fag end of its life, having passed the age of 76. I cannot delay releasing summum bonum, the certainty of my doubts to screen. May I request you also to help me end His grace and thus be liberated from these doubts and defects, this sinuous, unending samsara. Even before my reply reached him, he had a vision of both Ramana Maharishi and Sai Baba on the 27th at 4 a.m. While fully awake at the Ramana Ashram, Baba spoke to him in clear Telugu, and directed him towards a new process of meditation. He came to Prasanth Nilayam and was immediately blessed with an interview. His letter to me dated 5th February 1962 gives an account of the grace Baba conferred on him. I must thank you for being instrumental in exposing me to Baba's grace, which helped clear all my doubts. I was really astonished to find my old age infirmities disappear and my weakened limbs regain strength merely by his touch. His clear exposition with analysis and analogies not only put an end to my long-harbored doubts, but made me see truth face to face in its sublime nature. Not only this, but his transformation at the time of my leave-taking into Muralidhara Krishna with flute in dazzling splendor, is a sight I shall never forget. The darshan of Saguna Brahman, the universal absolute incarnated as limited being, was a blessing bestowed on this poor soul to reveal the oneness of Saguna and Nirguna. How a young couple was blessed by Baba would show the very way in which the divine works in Atmic principle. Baba blessed them. No occasion is too routine, too trite, or too grand for him to play his role as a teacher. Writing to a couple on the occasion of their marriage, he tells them, you are not just boy and girls coming together. You are Shiva Sakti, hyphenated, as truly as I am, the right and the left halves of the same body. May you be ever in the shade of joy and contentment. May you both float as one on the waves of ecstatic love. May you swim merrily on the flower-bedecked swing of faith, held by the ropes of courage and confidence. May this boat which you are boarding this day be loaded with happy comradeship and festivity, health and wholesomeness, to reach safe and smooth at the lotus feet of the Lord. Row it forward, both of you, with the oars of self-surrender and service, and let its sails be filled with breeze of grace. Unquote. Advising a son when his mother was ill, Baba said, all the time, ever with you, as close and as alert as the eyelids to the eye. Sai is guarding you. He is where you are, accepting your day's puja, receiving your offerings, and giving you the ananda of grace. He will not forget you or give you up. He will never move out of your heart. Convey my blessings to your mother. Tell her on my behalf to fix her mind on the Atman as Rama, to the exclusion of every other thought. That is the strongest support, the most reliable refuge. That is the unshakable, unseen base. The rest are but short-lived superstitions, mirages, castles in the air. Tell her to have the name always on the tongue and to meditate on God seated on the swing that oscillates in her heart. How Baba consoled a lady when she lost her husband. Your duty now is to sustain the greatness he earned, to follow the ideals that he had placed before himself. Your husband is here in my presence, and he will be here forever as he had wished to be when alive. Swami will not allow him to be separated from his presence. He is now free from all bonds and boundaries. Unquote. Mr. Kasturi beautifully describes the grace of Baba. Quote, these letters reveal he is more reassuring than any father, more affectionate than any mother, more considerate than any kinsman, and more just than any human authority. The blessing that Baba confers on lives dedicated to God, who is enshrined within us, is invariable, everlasting life in himself. Baba reassures a professor, my sankalpa or will confers bliss only after assessing the depth of yearning in the devotee. Sadhana is the essential prerequisite. You are a professor, and so you can understand this easily. You must have evaluated the written answers of your students. You evaluate and assign them marks only after careful scrutiny of what they have written, don't you? I too measure and weigh the sincerity and steadiness of the sadhana you have imposed upon yourself, and I frame my sankalpa accordingly. Of course, many are not aware that the misery in which they find themselves can be negated by sadhana. When I am advising a head of his Samiti, Baba was categorical. I quote from Satyam Sim Sundaram. He wrote as president of the SSSSO-TN Samiti. There is no use my writing about Samitis. I have been saying that the next world could be gained by man's triumph over the fascinations and fancies of this world. But the members of the organization have given up all thought of future lives and the other world. They behave as if this world is the only one. To them, this seems the only measure, the only goal. For such goal. For such persons, lamination can only be as faint as the glowworm in the night. Though the stars twinkle in the sky and appear as tiny specks when compared in brightness of the moon, they are really much more brilliant. Each of them is 100 suns rolled into one. But for the limited vision of ignorant onlookers, the star is a spark and the moon is a huge source of light. Such men think of the future because of his distance as quite trivial and of the present due to its immediate proximity as very important. They pay no attention to the stars but continue to be overawed by the moon. Civilization today is concerned with atom but ignores the Atman. Then about our duties, Baba had made it very clear to tell them all to fulfill the assigned duties and responsibilities. The daily schedule of puja, dhyana, bhajan, Sanskritam and study should be followed punctually and with faithful devotion. People should move among one another with love and reverence. Of what benefit is sadhana if it is done without controlling jealousy, envy, pride, anger and malice? However long we may live in the ashram, these vices will undermine any merit you acquire. As the proof of the rain is in the dampness of the ground, so is the proof of sadhana is in the subjugation of the senses. When a scholarly person who was feeling desperate, Baba blessed him with the following. You are the repository of so many branches of spiritual scholarship, but you have neither realized their value nor attempted to experience the joy they can give you. This must be your prime goal. Instead, you are spending your days the mere satisfaction of having acquired this knowledge, as if fluent oratory were the best purpose to which you could devote your learning. The result is that you are led into the baseless belief of being attacked by anxieties and adversities. Really speaking, these are all objective phenomena, passing clouds that are but a feature of the external nature. The ananda that the Atman can confer on you cannot be lessened or hindered in the least. Have faith in this truth. Don't you know, Bangaro, the freedom, the delight and the tranquility you can derive by contemplation of the Ananda that the unbroken awareness of the Atman can endow you with. Knowing this, even if you are confronted with the seemingly most insurmountable problem, how can you get entangled with or be affected by circumstances and phenomena in the objective world? To preach to others is quite easy, but to put even a fraction of what is preached into actual practice and experience the felicity promised is extremely difficult. We have been announcing in ringing tones, the Swami knows everything. Swami is the ultimate embodiment of all names and forms by which man has adored God with ages. But when problems overwhelm you, you forget to establish these truths in your own life. How Atma nourishes us, Baba declared. Let me tell you this. Who plants a sapling cannot water it. If he had no will to water it, he would not have planted it at all. This is the identifying principle of the Jiva and the Atman, the individual and the universal, man and God. You have written and published that the name of Swami is dancing and the form of Swami is being adored in home after home. And by this little vision, you are filled with Ananda. But know now that the name of Swami will arouse ecstatic delight, filling the entire world, every inch of it. People now sing, all is Sai, full, this world is Baba full. This fullness will be realized without doubt. Be bold, be in bliss, take up the burden of the duties assigned to you. Seek realization through the 4 stages leading man to God, Dharma, Artha, Karma and Moksha. When you resolve to progress on these lines, the Lord of Parthi will himself available to you to lift you and liberate you. Therefore, Bangaro, seek and gain your own motivating principle. I will never give you up. I will not forget you. No, never. Unquote. We must all have faith in Baba when he declared, I believe that whatever Baba does is for our own good, though it may not be immediately seem so to us. What is the effect of one's luck to get into the Baba is stated in the words of Sri Rasgotra, who was High Commissioner to UK. The transformation begins almost at the first moment of contact with Baba, and the process of irresistible uplift never slackens thereafter. Perhaps this is the greatest appeal which draws to Puttaparthi and Vrindavan, men and women of all faiths and beliefs from every part of the world. The impact of his personality is instantaneous, electrifying and elevating. In his luminous presence, one feels part of a higher order of reality, lifted out of oneself as if one were on a different, altogether purer plane of existence, where there is no lust, greed, anger or falsehood, and where, while there may be suffering and pain, there is no fear. A great devotee has expressed his devotion to Baba. William Penn writes, that is the wonderment of Baba. Once he enters your life, he fills it completely. It becomes totally different, totally delightful. What is the ultimate effect of your being with Baba is beautifully described. He seems to be with perfect Purna Brahman, personified to end the unsettled state of the world, to rectify human defects and bring man to realize his own true nature and bliss. Dr. Carlis Oasis, a director of research from the prestigious American Society for Physical Research, has experienced the abundance of the phenomena encountered and the magnitude of the miraculous effect were a complete surprise to seasoned parapsychologists like us. I have been an active researcher for 25 years and have traveled widely, but nowhere I have found a phenomena which point as clearly and forcibly to spiritual reality as the daily miracles of Baba. Our leader, Mr. T.G. Krishnamurthy, was involved in a car accident when he was on his way to Puttaparthi with his family. Baba saved him. When T.G.K. trying to thank Swami said, Swami, I would not have been alive if you had not saved me. Swami said, as a member of the organization, you have rendered seva. Whenever the beneficiaries came and thanked you, You did not accept their gratitude. Instead, you told them to thank Lord Sai as he was responsible for all the good actions done by you. So their gratitude came to me and got accumulated in your account of karma phala. The results of your good actions flew back to you as my grace in times of need. Half a minute before the accident, I checked up the account of your karma phala and found it was more than what was required. This karma phala automatically came to your rescue. See how Atman works. Recognize the truth that God is every one of you. Practice in all your activities the 5 Ds: dedication, devotion, discipline, discrimination, and determination, which constitute the 5 pranas, the 5 life forces of seva to mankind. You all know how Mr. Tigret, an American, went to the World Health Organization, Geneva, to discuss the project of super specialty hospital, and he offered to help, and how Baba declared on 22/11/1990 that the first operation will be done in super specialty hospital when the entire land was barren, and on 22/11/1991 the first operation was done. Therefore, if there is God's will, we will all be blessed. In December 1980, Bhagawan told one Sara Pawan during an interview, this was in 80, I have sent you to too many countries to gain experience. Now I have chosen Australia for you. You have much work to do for me. I will be with you always and guide you. After a year, I will build a specialty hospital in Puttaparthi, and you will come and live with me and serve me as an anesthetist in that hospital. When the doctor's child was in a very serious condition, Bhagavan saved the child and christened the child as Aditya. Thus, the Atman in the doctor, Baba had been helping him in many ways. Therefore, by all these, I am convinced, and I convey to you all, that if you think of Baba, God, and hook up to his lotus feet, you have reached the stage of awareness of Atma. Thank you. Om Sri Sai Ram.